Oh God, what happened?
And you weren't happy about it, were you?
I was like, wait a minute, that's wrong on
these,
more than one
these hurt.
level.
Oh God.
Oh, Lindsey Graham's grinder. That's
Yeah,
that's one way to get first blood.
Oh.
There.
Oh yeah, here you go. First blood for the grinder account.
Because, yeah, because getting is catting.
Dark humor is like food. Not everybody gets it.
Yes, in Mother Russia, they care for you.
So I hope y'all saw the thumbnail with the image of Sharing Bear. Oh, that's still the first blood drop. That's not what I want. Yeah, so there's the thumbnail again, and you can see the Sharing Bear.
Right.
Sharing. You know, it always bothered me, and it still does, the idea of having the conversation about sharing with children. Oh, well, did you bring enough gum for everybody? I don't know. Do they have money? Because I'll sell them a stick.
Okay, but there is a certain amount of the social contract that says we're going to be kind to our fellow man and we're going to try and have an abundance of resources. You're not teaching the children to give their stuff away for free. You're teaching the children not to be assholes stuff that they have. And there is a difference.
Except that's the thing, is when you're teaching the sharing thing in public schools, you are teaching them that you give it away for free. You have something, someone else wants it.
I didn't qualify it. I didn't say with public schools.
You must let them have it for.
I didn't qualify it by saying in public schools. I just said generally.
Oh, but I did.
Yeah, but not originally. If you'd said public schools, we'd be having a different conversation.
What did you think I was talking about with the stick of gum?
Well, since you said...
I've never told one of my children that they can't chew gum unless they have enough for it.
No, well, since you said do you have enough for everybody? You didn't say public schools in your first statements. It just is what it is. Anyway, let's... So, Lindsey Graham's grinder account got first blood. Let's... go back up.
Oh,
I can't...
No, I was looking for his elucidation.
Stop. I don't even know that I want to read that out loud. Crackshot. Good morning, James Wilbanks. Good morning. Good morning, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
We love you. And then let's see, Sean Stryker, Grimshaw Rose.
Grimshaw Rose says general manager. Indeed.
Yes. General manager. Right. Patrick Brown, Pitt Danny, and then Dan Burks, and then the Fit Life with Danielle. Hey, we got a new episode of that today. Yeah, I got, in the last one, I actually cracked up, like, she finished her workout, and then just, like, looked at the camera and was like, you guys ever have this, like, one of those workouts where like, she just said, like, this nonsensical stuff, and it's like, does that ever happen to you? Me neither. And I about fucking died laughing. And then let's see, the biscuits and gravy. That is still one of the best names ever and best breakfasts ever. So,
indeed.
So anyhow, if we missed you, yell at us. We'll say hello. And it was yeah.
See, Graham's Grinder account says, "Sorry, Mom," and my mother says, "I'm fine. I love you, Mom."
Oh, and then Jeff Goldblum's Chaos Finds a Way, which is, you know what? It works. It works. So
so this morning,
Me More Monday,
and it is Me More Monday. We're going to start with the meme about the Russian bear. Now, the meme about the Russian bear predates modern mimetic warfare. It's important to understand that when we talk about the meme war, I've said this before, and if you get tired of hearing me say it, that's because you're learning something.
Or it's because you could summarize.
When we talk about the meme war, memes are not just funny pictures you see on the internet. The science of memetics refers to the tendency of certain types of ideas to share effectively traits with viruses. The not just the ability to spread, but the tendency to spread. And the way a meme works, whether it's a funny picture on the internet or a tautology or an aphorism, is that when it is spoken or when it is observed, it creates within the observer the desire to share it, the desire to expose other people to it. Memes take on a life of their own for that reason. And that sort of thing has happened with information since long before we started referring to these funny pictures on the internet as memes. It's part of the magic of neurolinguistic programming, neurolinguistic hacking, propaganda, and advertising.
It also it expresses the zeitgeist. It's a fantastic. It's funny that you say virus because it's an excellent way. You could say it's a transmission of information.
Yes.
And then Pit Danny says, and they can avoid AI. Yeah, but the concept of memetics and how it relates to propaganda and all that has been around for decades. Like maybe the meme about the Russian bear, for example. It just is what it is. The don't tread on me. Like there you go. There's a fantastic example of a meme. Oh man. I mean, the country was built on memetics. Shitlords created America. That's
Yep.
Thomas Jefferson was the original edgelord.
Well, okay, I hadn't intended to go down this bit of rabbit hole, but we are walking into an election season.
That's tomorrow.
I know, and we could touch on this a little bit harder then, but you'll hear people say, "God, politics and the whole political cycle has just gotten nastier and nastier over time." Sam Adams ran ads against his opponent. I'll have to look this up and get the names right. I think the ads were run against Sam Adams.
He was a transvestite and an alcoholic. And
he's a Satan-worshipping hermaphrodite.
That's right, hermaphrodite.
That will whore your daughters away to the black man, right? And those were the attack ads that they ran against each other. Now, they had to be printed and distributed manually, but that's the kind of stuff, right? You look at modern attack ads, and in many, many cases, the most awful attack ads that you will see today are positively tame compared to the outrageous allegations that would be made against rival politicians just 100 years ago.
And then that guy was likely your vice president at the end of the cycle.
Yes. It'd be like if you were on the campaign trail and your whole attack campaign was that your opponent was a vile racist who opposed busing and wanted to maintain segregation and keep black children away because he was afraid of his own children being raised in a racial jungle, and then you went on to suck your way into his vice presidency.
But it was a debate, Chris. It was a debate.
Yeah, no, honey. The Hawaiian Punch, that was a debate.
Well, no, that was also a debate. It just,
It was.
it shows something about, like, I forget. Anyhow, I don't want to go down that
It
road.
shows
We're
something
talking
about the effectiveness of destroying people with facts and logic because it was the end.
no,
of
no,
Kamala
not
Harris's
no, not the
political
Hawaiian punch
prospects.
debate. No, not the Hawaiian punch debate. The thing where she went on to explain later, hey, it was just a debate, guys. You know,
Yeah.
like it's anyhow.
Pitt Danny, do not go to battle with someone who buys ink by the barrel. Amen, my man.
So, so anyhow, one of the oldest memes is that the might of the proud Russian military. That gosh, you don't want to fuck with Russia, okay? Like,
Right.
except there might be a little bit more nuance
Well,
to
and-
that story. There might be just a smidge more.
This
This yes,
so we've talked about
not necessary.
I'm
Keep
not
going.
gonna find it fast enough. We'll just so Russia's mobilization is the act of a desperate Kremlin losing the war. Because part of what's going on, and let's be clear, Zelensky has explicitly called on the West and NATO allies to use nuclear weapons against Putin. Putin
he
said,
has?
I ain't bluffing, huh?
Oh, he has?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Putin has said, he said, Zelensky said, if Putin even thinks about,
Oh, so he's talking about a retaliatory nuclear.
and Putin has
That's
basically
different. That's different.
if Putin even thinks about it, and Putin replied by saying, I have the largest nuclear arsenal in the world.
Fuck around and find out.
Exactly.
Okay, see that's what I remember happening is that Zelensky suggested it as a retaliation, not as a proactive strike.
No. He said
he meant it as a retaliation. I know what he said, all pomp and bluster, but he meant it as a retaliation. He didn't say, "Hey, everybody, go nuke the Kremlin right now." There's a difference between those things.
Oh, you're gonna have to go back and look at his comments. He was absolutely suggesting a 804. Absolutely.
You're right. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it.
And the reply from Putin was, no, I have the largest nuclear arsenal. I am not bluffing. Fuck around and find out. Now, the fact is, Putin should have just overrun Ukraine. And this whole, no matter what you feel about or think about the morality or rightness or justification of the whole Russia-Ukraine situation, on a purely strategic and military analytic level, once Putin said, I want to invade Ukraine, the war should have been over. But it wasn't. Now, a lot of that has to do with the Ukrainian response Putin didn't expect, where Zelensky, to his credit, and you won't hear me say that often, but Zelensky, to his credit, said, give everybody a gun. And you remember, when he said that, one of our responses was, okay, so you understand some things now, obviously, but maybe you should have started there like we did. In America, it's not give everybody a gun, it's everybody get your gun. Right? And there's an important distinction there, because it takes time to hand out weapons. Whereas here, we've gone out of our way to stockpile and prepare for just such an eventuality.
It's like 3 guns per man and like something like 27 rounds of ammunition per man in this country. Like,
Danny says it was U.S. and our money that prolonged it. That's a part of it. But another part of it is the Russian military just is not the monstrosity it used to be. Or probably more correctly, today it is still only the monstrosity that it used to be. Because they haven't updated their tactics, they haven't updated their strategies, and they haven't updated their arsenal in the way that the U.S. has. The U.S. technology is staggering, especially when compared to technology of the rest of the world militarily. There are a few places where, a very, very few places where other countries have a slight edge or are close to equal, but only only in very narrow specific areas of military. So the Russian bear is, maybe there was truth to it once.
Actually, all right. So here's the deal. I actually think it's probably still true. However, what we've seen in the past, and look, there's a whole layer to this about the fog of war, and do we believe the things that are coming out of like the news media and whatnot? And I think in this case, I'm prepared to say that it's probably true for this specific reason. Ukrainians, the Ukrainian people, are defending their homeland. And when you're defending your home turf, you have an inherent advantage, okay? Especially if the point of the war is to occupy your land and force you into submission. Well, all you have to do is not submit, and the other side has not won. And there are histories all throughout, there are examples all throughout history where a technically weaker fighting force used some version of guerrilla tactics. I mean, that's part of why we were successful against the British. And we said, you know what? Well, screw all that meeting them out in the open field and just taking hot shots at each other. They've got more guns and more numbers and more everything. They'll cut us to pieces. Instead, we'll do hit and run tactics on their supply lines and drive them out of the country. Same thing that happened in Vietnam. Same thing that happened in Afghanistan with Russia. And now, here's what's happening here. You've got people that just want to defend their homes, and we've joked many times before about how it's like, oh, hey, you know what? You want to defend your country? Cool. Here's your Molotov cocktail. Here's your AK-47. The Russians are over there. And I say all that to say, if we were to try and invade Russia, or if Ukraine, or really any military force was to try and invade Russia, first of all, you'd have to win by the end of summer. And I think we all know. And then that in and of itself becomes extremely difficult because Russia's not afraid to use scorched earth tactics. They've got a huge landmass. So if they want to create a 50-mile stretch in between two objective points and there's no food in that 50-mile stretch, suddenly what would theoretically be an easy country to conquer becomes incredibly difficult. Because one of the things, and I forget the exact expression, so don't be afraid to correct me here, but your military is only as good as its supply chain, right? And if you've got to stretch out your supply chain over hundreds of miles of scorched earth, you've got so many failure points.
An army marches on its belly.
That's right. And then your wife has joined us and says, didn't Russia invent scorched earth tactics? I don't think Russia invented them, but Russia sure as hell brought them into the modern age.
Yeah, we definitely have some references to salting the earth Bibles. That predates Russia. What?
Well, it predates the country we call Russia. Those Cossacks have been around for a long time.
And all the pro-Ukraine, I was trying to find the article. All the pro-Ukraine crap that is actually being generated directly by the CIA. That's just another piece of evidence to the claim that we've made several times here that there are no good guys in this. Zelensky's a bad guy, right? Putin's a bad guy. Zelensky's also a bad guy. And then you've got Biden. Biden, Zelensky, and Putin. There are no winners here. Oh, no matter who wins, you lose.
Yeah, so, okay, on the surface, I'm okay with the Ukrainian people kicking the shit out of the Russian military. Like, that's, look around and find out, you know? Like, that's what happened there. When you start rolling into people's hometowns and they mount a guerrilla campaign to repel you, well, Um, but as you say, so when we look at the politics of it, when we look at the leadership of, it's hard to find the good guy. Um, but nonetheless, the meme of the Russian bear, I think, has got some additional layers to it. If we were to attack Russia, then yeah, it would be difficult. I actually think that's why for decades now, Russia's policy has been no, no, we won't use nukes as a measure of last resort. We'll use them at any point in time in the campaign that we feel they're necessary if we're ever attacked. And I think we're now seeing why their offensive capabilities are limited when you propagandize people in a bunch of commie bullshit their entire life and then say go to war with this country that your parents and grandparents feel like are actually Russians. Like, there's just not a lot of enthusiasm for that.
Right.
There was no shortage of young American men signing up on 9/12. There was legit enthusiasm for that. But all the stuff with Putin trying to call up like 1 million troops and stuff like that, it's really difficult to make predictions. But I think we're seeing the Russian bear being cracked.
Ready to hibernate?
Something. Like it tried to get into the wrong beehive.
And this,
just because it's funny.
I got to catch this just
because it's funny.
This article's back from July 19th. Okay, TPS report asks, you don't think we're currently attacking Russia?
That's a
different conversation. And yes, obviously we're currently attacking Russia.
Financially,
and
at least, yes.
We have been since basically Romney said that Russia is our biggest threat, and Obama said the 1980s called. They want their foreign policy back. Oh, wow! You're the most situationally tone deaf people, psychotic. But that's a different conversation than the one we're talking about here. And I want to touch this article before we get onto a meme dump. Because
this article is a meme.
This is hilarious.
This is fantastic.
Russia says it's losing because Ukraine has experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs.
Now, y'all, this is from July of this year.
And it's from the Daily Beast. And, okay. And I had to explain this to Cameron earlier because we had a very brief conversation about it. Daily Beast is bullshit. Daily Beast is fake news. You can't count on the Daily Beast for accurate reporting. Daily Beast broke the Steele dossier, but
it's not satire.
They're not satire. They purport to be actual news. They have a history of lying. They have a history of misreporting. They have a history of outright fabricating facts. But they purport to report the news. They're not making jokes. They're telling lies. This, however, honestly, it would not surprise me to hear a Russian exemplar, a Russian pontificator, make the argument here, nearly 5 months into its senseless war against Ukraine, Russia has concocted a wild new explanation for why the Kremlin's plans for a quick takeover fell apart so spectacularly.
It's not our fault. It's not our fault.
It's not our fault.
It's not our fault.
Ukrainian troops were turned into superhuman killing machines during secret experiments in American-run biolabs.
To be fair, though, how many Joes would volunteer?
Most of us.
Like, no, jack me up, baby.
Let's do this. Never mind the myriad reports of Russian troops refusing to fight by the thousands. True. Sabotaging their own shoddy equipment and even deliberately wounding themselves to abandon the war. Russian lawmakers claim the real setback for Moscow was drugged up Ukrainian soldiers. The claim was made Monday by two Russian lawmakers heading up a commission to investigate biolaboratories in Ukraine. Kommersant reported. And they even go this far, right? Konstantin Kosachev, the deputy speaker of Russia's Federation Council, and Irina Yarovaya, the deputy chair of the State Duma, touted that what they described as bombshell findings from an investigation. Testing of Ukrainian POW's blood, they claimed, uncovered a range of diseases that suggest they were secretly experimented on for military purposes. The cruelty and barbarity by which the military personnel of Ukraine behave, the crimes that they commit against the civilian population, those monstrous crimes that they commit against prisoners of war, confirmed that this system for the control and creation of a cruel murder machine was implemented under the management of the United States. Yarovaya was quoted telling reporters. Now,
yeah, I would take that as a compliment if it were true.
Well, here's the thing. I want to take a quick peek at this. The crimes that they commit against the civilian population. Sweetheart, you went there. You sent Russian troops in to attack Ukrainian civilians in their territory. Are you suggesting that the Ukrainian super killers are killing Ukrainians locally? Because I don't think we've seen any evidence of that. And they certainly aren't committing war crimes against Russian civilians in Russia, because you took the fight to them.
I mean, on the spectrum, the fact that Ukraine might be willing to sacrifice a few thousand of its own citizens and a false flag in order to unite the world against Russia, that's
the mouse that roared.
I mean, look, that's in the pale moonlight, like, type of stuff. Like, that's not even that hard to believe. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying, like, if we look at the spectrum of believability, that one's not even much of a stretch.
Right.
It's just probably didn't do it with soldiers hopped up on super meth. You know, like. Oh, George Kelichek joined us. Good morning, sir.
Stryker says there were credible reports of Ukrainian forces shelling their own and using human shields. Okay, I'll give you that.
Like I said, like that's
I would go back to the shelling their own and attribute that more likely to incompetence rather than malice, but
or
fair play.
Or you really want to make a point. I mean, like when Gus Fring killed his own right-hand man right in front of Walter and Jesse, and like, no, don't fuck with me. I will end you. I will end your entire lineage. I will kill your wife. I will kill your infant daughter. You know, like, could just be, sorry guys. Sorry guys, we gave you 10 minutes to get out of the way of the bombs. Here they come.
Is it Fring Chilean? Not right. I'm making fun of your accent.
Well, look, I was just imitating, what's his name? Giancarlo Esposito, his accent.
Right,
anyhow,
right. Here
we go, memed up.
You know, we just about do a whole show on this.
Good Lord, yes, you
Netflix hit with backlash after tagging Jeffrey Dahmer's series as LGBTQ. Okay.
So many jokes.
On the very serious side of this, they're working incredibly hard to legalize and normalize pedophilia. And once a corrupt Supreme Court does that in stark contravention to their constitutional authority, what do you think is next?
Yeah, it's, you know, apparently this is oh, bring it back.
Oh.
Apparently, this is a really good show. And look, it's a really good show, but it's not for everybody. Apparently, like, the show goes out of its way, have the point of view of, like, it doesn't just follow Dahmer, like, it follows, like, his neighbor and a few of his victims, and it even makes you slightly sympathetic toward Dahmer, and like apparently it will just disturb the absolute shit out of you, and it's really good. But it's let's how about say NSFW? But yeah, technically Jeffrey Dahmer went crazy because he didn't want to admit that he wanted to kiss boys. Like that's a thing. Not saying all gay people are murderous cannibals. However, it is true that
But this murderous cannibal happened to be gay.
yes, he happened.
In
to
fact,
be gay.
statistically, it turns out that all infamous murderous cannibals are gay.
Statistically. Oh, see, and then okay, here's the thing though. Here's
He's
the
a
thing
group
though.
set of one.
And just seriously though, is the LGBTQ tag not accurate?
Well, the problem is
Because some of his victims were openly gay. That's
Right.
how he was able to identify them.
correct.
So, you know, like a lot of uncomfortable territory here and jokes that I'm not willing to make at this point because I don't want us to get booted off YouTube. But it's not inaccurate, is it?
Yeah, like, guys, just because we don't like what Dahmer did doesn't mean we get to pretend like he wasn't white.
Okay. I think that's a good one. Moving on. I'm not a fan of The Little Mermaid, but this little black mermaid story has pissed off some people so badly that you might just think that the little black mermaid stole some classified documents and then hid them in a broom closet at a beach resort. This is part of why the left can't meme, because most left memes require so much setup just to get to such little payoff. And apparently the memes about the Little Mermaid are not going to go away. And look, we even talked about it. Like, we were not mad that the Little Mermaid was black. What we were mad about is that it's clearly being done as this whole woke virtue signal thing.
Yeah, it's intentional fan baiting.
And yeah, the fan baiting thing is part of it. And we've just watched so many of these things that we grew up loving, like Star Wars, The Predator, Lord of the Rings, whatever. And every bit of it is just being shit on. You know, when Star Trek was rebooted, like 15, 20 years ago, like the J.J. Abrams Trek, I was, as a long-term Trek fan, I was kind of upset by the first movie. Like, I grew up, with it. So watching the planet Vulcan get vaporized in the first half of the first movie, that was tough. But I said, you know what? Okay. If they'll tell me some new stories as a result of it, if we've deliberately reset the timeline so that we can have more Trek, I'll deal with it. And then everything that's come out since then, they redid Khan, which, surprise, surprise, didn't work. And they've just kept injecting all this woke bullshit into it, where they wanted to emphasize all the corruption in Starfleet and make all these analogies to the U.S. government, and just and we're just tired of our childhood getting shit on. The problem is not that you might want to make the next James Bond played by Idris Elba. The problem is why you would want the next James Bond to be played by Idris Elba.
And it's as simple as this. You're not intelligent or creative. You say that what you want is representation in media and in film and in art, popular culture. That's not what you want. What you want, just like the reason that you make every decision in the voting booth, is that you want to steal from someone who is productive, because you are unintelligent, uncreative, and unproductive.
And then obviously this is a reference to the Mar-a-Lago raid. Guys,
is it? Are you sure? Because there was no broom closet there. The broom closet was where Hillary had her
stole
servers.
some classified well, there was a bathroom.
There was a broom closet in that. That's where the servers were.
Oh, okay. But bathroom. But no, stole classified, obviously, if you're taking pot shots at people that have a problem with the little black maid, I've been waiting all fucking weekend to drop that on you. All fucking weekend to drop that on you. But the thing is, they're obviously referencing it because if they're going to take a swing at people like me, they're also trying to take a swing at people like me that think the Mar-a-Lago thing is, at its most charitable, exaggerated.
Right. TPS report. I am gonna address your comment, even though it is a different conversation. It says, I'm confused by this James Bond thing. They just killed Bond in the last movie with a missile strike. There can't be another James Bond. So there can be another James Bond. James Bond is a cover identity associated with the 007. I heard that there's a new 007 that's a black woman in that movie. But quite frankly, James Bond movies haven't been good in so long that I didn't even bother to see this one. And I don't think I bothered to see the one before it. I may be 3 Bond movies behind, and
Skyfall,
quite frankly, it's going to stay that way.
Skyfall was good. Check it out. Skyfall was good.
I may have watched Skyfall.
Skyfall was legit good.
Okay, moving on.
It's almost like moms influence their children almost started a young. Because obviously the implication here is that he was born a boy, but mom wanted a girl. So mom has a girl. And yes, I'm actually saying that most of your trans children are that. Exactly. They've been influenced by an external source, and it is fucking abuse. You're a shitberg if you tell your child with a penis that doesn't matter. And you're a shitberg if you tell your child with a vagina that doesn't matter. You're setting them on a life path that is replete with, well, let's start with a 40% chance of suicide.
Yep.
And ban all these extra cancer risks, sterilization.
God, is it really 7 minutes after the hour?
Sterilization, an inability to have orgasms, and frankly, a level of ostracization that will never go away. One of the reasons why we've got to go, oh, trans in the media is because it makes us all a little uncomfortable. And don't bullshit me and tell me that it doesn't also make you uncomfortable. It's why you're shoving it in my face, trying to tell me that it's normal.
Wow.
There you go. Got anything you want to add?
You had a feeling. Have you seen any of, and I'll ask the audience the same question. Have you guys seen anything from Matt Walsh's investigation into the Vanderbilt medical system where they're doing the trans stuff there? He's actually got people in charge of the program on record explaining why they went down the route and started doing what they call gender affirming surgeries, which should be referred to as
mutilation,
or mutilation, which is what they are. And one of the reasons that the hospital is so interested in those procedures is that not only are the procedures themselves extraordinarily expensive up front.
Yeah, but then you have a lifetime patient.
You have a lifetime patient.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially when you trans male to female, because a vaginoplasty is literally just opening a wound that requires constant, frequent medical attention to keep it open, to keep the wound open.
Yeah, I can't even.
It's
there's a lot there,
and the survival rate is abysmal and horrifying.
That I don't even want to think about.
So,
I think this is a good response. I've started to see responses to that. In this house, we believe love is real, science is science, and Black Lives Matter and women's rights are human rights. I thought this was actually a good answer.
I've been meaning to download a copy of that image of the original one that actually says what they believe and go through it systematically and just debunk it one at a time. Because one of the ones that really bothers me on that is the pro LGBT one, where it says love is love. You don't believe that. person who says love is love in that way, in order to support the LGBT movement, which is pro pedophilia now, is pro child mutilation now. You don't believe love is love. You believe that libertine sexual promiscuity is love. You don't believe that love exists. You are, in fact, opposed to it. You find the idea of people remaining in emotional entanglements and romantic progression to be offensive, and you prefer libertine, free love, just sex with strangers that you don't have to contact again for fear that you might find someone who's more attractive.
Yeah, so
sad.
So in this house, we believe simple platitudes, trite tautologies, and semantically overloaded aphorisms are poor substitutes for respectful and rational discussions about complex ideas. Kind of like that whole trans thing. Like, if you want me to call you Caitlin and not Bruce, I won't be a dick. I'll call you Caitlin, but I'm allowed to still think that you're a dude that just wants to be a pretty girl. I'm allowed to have that thought. It's a complex idea.
And if you're just a dude in a dress, you have to pay the cover charge.
Right. Are we done? We're like 10 minutes past. Not even.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go ahead and wrap it up there because I do have to get to work. Thanks for watching, guys. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.